Hi everyone, Amber here from So Majestic. I am sewing up month 6 today for the Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilt, their spring puzzle mystery quilt, which is called Village Green. If you are paying attention, they are coming out with their fall puzzle mystery quilt Carnival, and that is shipping soon. So if you would like to sign up for that, you could use my ambassador code Amber Carnival and you'll get a bonus gift. So I hope you're enjoying Village Green, and I hope you enjoy the tutorial. Let me know what you think. Thanks. So today I am sewing up Cotton Cuts small clue number 6 for the Village Green Puzzle Mystery Quilt, and I am sewing up the Cornflower colorway. You can see today we are doing 2 different sections. So we have a 6A and a 6B, and there are a lot of pieces this month, so I need to make sure I pay extra special attention and have everything going the correct order. One of my favorite things about Cotton Cuts is they have this layout down here, and it says pieces in the pack that has the exact shapes and count and letter of your corresponding fabric. So I always take a couple minutes when I am first setting up and lay it out. So you can see here I have all my pieces laid out in front of me. So as I am sewing, I can just grab them and go if I get confused, because you can see like my A fabric and B or D fabric are kind of similar. So when I take a second and in the beginning and lay everything out, it really helps me when it comes down to directions. So again, grab my other paper. I need a B square. So if you are doing Cornflower colorway, that is a white one. And I always lay mine out in front of me. And a D square. And D is this darker color, darker gray. Sometimes I also have trouble telling the back from the front, so you want to be mindful of that. Okay. You can clip them together. I'm just gonna hold it, and then we are sewing at a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I just usually sew at a 1/4 inch. Really bad about the scant 1/4 inch, but I have found as long as you are consistent throughout, it will turn out okay. Okay, and then we can see our arrow here is pointing to our B side, so we are going to press our seams to our B fabric, which for me is that white fabric. I'm using a wool pressing mat and a tiny steam fast iron. I do have them in links in my bio for the Amazon affiliate link. One of these did have recalls, but this model does not. Okay, so I'm gonna set that to the side. Our next part, we are taking 1 square of our D fabric, which again is that gray, and one of our C fabrics, which for me is this beautiful green color. Okay, and I am going to put them together. If it is something that's really difficult, like more of a larger triangle, I like to use clips, but for these right now, I'm just gonna hold them in place. Okay, and this time we are pressing towards our C square. For step 3, we are going to join the 2 squares that we joined in step 1 to our squares that we attached in step 2. And we are going to sew them exactly in the same order. We want our D fabrics across from each other. So for this, I am going to clip them together. And I start by lining up our seams. As long as you press to the correct sides, they will nest nicely together. And then I line up my edges. And I try to clip all my threads as close as possible. As I'm sewing, it just makes it easier for me. Okay, and you can see in our directions, the arrow is pointing down, so we are pressing our seams to the bottom, which is this pretty green color for me. I always finger press them open first and then just gently press them. The fabrics can be thin and can sometimes distort, so I try not to pull. And you can see, since we clipped our center first, the points line up almost perfectly on this particular block. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side for a second. Now we are on step 4. So we need a F square. For me, that is this darker color. The blue with some bright green. And 2 A triangles. A for me is the lighter color gray. And you can see the design here makes one larger triangle. So I always lay out. It says that we're going to do 2 of these. Oh, just kidding. This is where I'm making a mistake. See, this is why it's really important for me to lay everything out first, because I almost grabbed the larger triangles when we really need these smaller ones. Okay, and again, I like to lay mine out first exactly how they show in the picture, because if I don't do that, I often have been known to sew them on in the wrong order. So now that I have them laid out, it's much easier for me to just line them up. And you can pin or clip these together. Thankfully, my machine has been really good about not eating this fabric. I'm using a 7010 universal needle and just regular thread. Okay, for this we are pressing towards our triangle. And the machine I'm sewing on is a Singer 5528. It is an older Singer. Has metal gears inside, and it works great. I sew everything from quilts to bags to clothes on it. I think I might have said towards the triangle, but I meant towards our square. Okay, and so now we are going to attach our other side, and for this one I am going to use clips because it's not just 2 pieces here. The seam does get a little bit thicker.
Okay, and again we are pressing this towards our square. And because this one has multiple seams connecting here, I just like to give it a couple extra presses. Okay, I'll set that one to the side for a second. We are now on step 5, and I am combining a large D triangle. Okay, so D is this darker gray color. And I am combining it with a large B triangle, which is my white fabric here. And you will be making 2 of these. And because this is a larger triangle, I am going to clip it. Makes it a little bit easier. And we are pressing it towards the D triangle, which is the darker color fabric, which will hide that seam behind it. You won't see the fabric coming through on the lighter color. Okay, so now we are up to step 6. Want to make sure I pay extra special attention. So we are going to attach our step 4, which was our square and 2 small triangles, to our step 5, which is the 2 larger triangles, and make sure you are looking closely at the picture. So I am going to lay it out just like this. And for this one, it wants our D fabric towards the top, which is our darker color in the Cornflower colorway. Okay, and so for this, I am going to try to line this up as best as I can, because you can see here this point of the small square. I want that lined up as best I can with my center seam. So I leave it flat on my mat or wherever, clip that first, and then clip my outer edges. And they should line up pretty well. If it's a little bit off, for me that's not as important as lining up that center seam. And we are pressing down towards our 2 large triangles. So I'm going to press the back first, flip this open, finger press it, and again, so these seams are getting a little bit thicker, so I like to press them a little bit longer to really help hold them in place. Okay, and you can see that I took the time to line up my center seam here with the point of the square. So again, they line up almost perfectly. Right, and now we are on step 7. We want to make sure we're going to combine our 4 squares here with the piece that we just made. And I want to double check my fabrics that my 2D squares are in the correct location. C, it's combining up here to my F, because it's very easy to get these flipped around. So again, I'm going to take a second here and line up my center seams. And again, if you pressed correctly according to the instructions, your center seams should nest perfectly. And they should line up exactly as long as your seam allowances were accurate, and mine seem to be for this. Right? Okay, but we are going to sew down here. And we are going to press the seam towards our side that had, towards our right side, the side with our F and A, the B and D. So again, I'm going to press that on the back first. And then gently open it, finger press it. All right, so this completes our section 6A. I'm going to set this aside and we are going to begin our section 6B. Okay, so we are starting our section 6B. For step 1, we need a large F triangle and 2 small A triangles. I'm going to make sure we line them up. And we are going to make a flying geese. So I'm going to line these up first, and for this one I am going to use some clips. Since I'm sewing a triangle, sewing on the bias, I really don't want it to stretch. And the really nice thing about cotton cuts is that everything is cut for you and they're die cut. So it lines up perfectly on the edges. And we are pressing towards our outer A triangles. I actually think I was supposed to start on the right hand side first and then the left. I reversed it. I'm not too worried about it. It will just make this seam a little bit bulky in a different direction. But my final piece is going to look the same. So if you want, you can start with the right side first. And if I line up my edge here, you can see that it lines up to my center perfectly. And clip that. And again, I'm going to press the back first, gently open with my fingers. I definitely don't want to pull because these are likely cut on the bias and it's so easy to stretch. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side. Now we are going to take a large A triangle, and you're going to make 2 of those. So large A and 2 smaller B triangles. So you can see my B fabric is this lighter color, the lighter white. Again, I'm going to check to make sure that they are going in the correct direction. Lay them out first. Okay, and for this side, I am going to start on the right hand side, so because that's what the directions say. Turn them right sides together. I said before about my fabric not eating, or my machine not eating the fabric, and I just jinxed it. I'm going to gently pull it apart with my seam ripper. So if this happens to you, you can easily pick them apart. Cotton Cuts also sells an Oops kit now for the carnival that is coming up, the fall puzzle mystery quilt. So if you end up losing your fabric, shredding it or anything, you can easily replace them. I should be able to pick this out. All right, there we go. Reclip that. And I'm just actually going to start on the other direction. There we go. And that fed through perfectly. So you can see where I just trimmed it. That was the side that it originally pushed down into the presser plate, and you can't even tell. Okay, so I'm going to press this open to the B side, or the B triangle. Okay, and again, I'm going to line up the left-hand side. And make sure I take my time because they do line up perfectly. And again, we are pressing our seams to the outside, smaller A triangle, or smaller B triangle, sorry. All the letters, sometimes I get confused. Okay, so now we are on step 3. We are going to join a step 2 unit. So for each of these, you should have made 2 of them. So we are going to attach our step 2 to the top of step 1. So it should look like this. Your A fabric should all be lined up. For your F triangle on the bottom, your 2 smaller B triangles on the top. Okay, and I don't have any seams here, so I am just gonna line up all my edges. I don't have to really center it since there is no middle seam, but because this is larger, I am going to clip it to sew. And then we are pressing our seam towards the top part of this block. I'm giving the extra seams, or the other seams, a little bit of an extra press to keep it flat. And I'm going to set this aside for a second, because now we are on step 4 and we need a B square, which for me is my white fabric. Put that right sides up. And an F square, which is my darker green or blue green. Okay, and we are going to sew 2 of these. These I'm just gonna hold together. And we are pressing our seams towards the B side, which is our left side. Okay, so you're going to make 2 of these. We are now on step 5, and we are going to attach an F rectangle to the top of those 2 squares we just sewed. And again, because this is just one large rectangle, there's no center seam, I'm just going to line them up from edge to edge. Okay, and our seams for this one are being pressed towards the bottom to our 2 small squares. Okay, and now this is where I always have to pay attention, because in step 3 we made this piece with our triangles kind of pointing up, but if we look at step 6, they are facing down. So we are going to take the piece that we made in our step 3 and rotate it so our points are facing down, and we are going to attach it to the side of the piece that we just finished in step 5. Okay, so I have them lined up, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up these middle seams here and clip that center. once I have that, then I will line up my edges, because like I said before, it is much more important for me for my points to line up the centers, seams, than it is for my edges. Okay, and for this one, our seams are being pressed to the right, the side that has our large F triangle. All right, so you should have 2 of these sections. So we have done our 6A piece and our 6B piece.
All right, so thank you so much for sewing with me today. You should have 2 sections. Your 6A piece should look like this, and your 6B piece should look like this. And you should have 2 each of these. So let me know what you think. Let me know how yours is coming along, and let me know if you're signing up for the fall mystery quilt.